is 20 days to Christmas, officially. Good morning and a warm welcome to the perfect day start to the morning brief. I'm Kayode Okikelu.
Well, good morning. Thank you for staying tuned. Welcome. I am Bukola Koka.
And I'm Jeffrey Uzong, and I'm super excited today to be part of your world, your day. It's a weekend edition of the program, and guys. Today's my birthday, so just chill and cool.
Oh dear.
Don't worry, it's a good surprise. There's no jollof rice anywhere. The hustle.
Jeffrey, how many birthdays do you have the year?
It's just
like,
one,
is
yes,
it the promo copy of the birthday?
It's December the 5th, of course it is Jeffrey's birthday.
Yeah, it's. I hardly talk about my birthday, but I'm very excited about it this time.
All right, so I think we should just.
This morning.
Yeah.
Let's just close the show. All right, we'll see you later. We need to celebrate Jeff. I'm joking. Amazing. Happy birthday, Jeffrey.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Happy
Appreciate
birthday,
it. Thank
Jeffrey.
you. Thank you.
I have a birthday
show?
surprise for you.
Oh, really?
It's in the news today. I mean, yesterday was, as always, quite eventful.
Yeah.
It was a major event in Imo State, and we had global leaders actually attending and speaking about Nigeria, about the situation of Africa, and all of that. The Imo State, yes, indeed, hosted those leaders, and it was quite beautiful to hear different ideas really coming through about Nigeria, Africa, investment. You had from a UN Secretary General, Ban Ki-moon, you had billionaire Aliko Dangote. Of course, Nigeria was well represented, so I'm speaking about other people. You had former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson and Nigeria's Vice President, of course, Kashim Shettima was there. But I think it was Boris Johnson's statement that caught a lot of people's attention, where he said, I'm in Nigeria now and I feel safe. Maybe let's listen to Boris Johnson, what he said about Nigeria, and even Kemi Badenoch, and we'll walk you through some other highlights.
I'm proud, very proud, of what we export to Nigeria. We send you pharmaceuticals and bankers and services of all kinds, automotive parts, all sorts of things. We send whiskey, huge quantities of whiskey, probably more popular somewhere than another. We send, and you send us so much in return. Oil and gas, Nollywood movies, brilliant doctors, nurses, technicians, tech geniuses from Nigeria. Nigeria come to the UK, and we're very grateful. We're very grateful and honoured. And we send you, former United Kingdom Prime Ministers, and you send us, future United Kingdom Prime Ministers, in the form of Kemi Badenoch, who come from Nigeria and is doing better and better these days.
The irony of that, because there are a lot of Nigerians who will disagree with him. Well, there are two sides of that. Future Prime Minister, absolutely, that's a possibility. But the other part is what a lot of people will disagree with. But indeed, the former British Prime Minister also spoke about feeling safe in Nigeria. Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma hosting that Imo State Economic Summit 2025, and it was quite interesting to see. But guys, I don't know, what do you make of that, really? His statement about Kemi Badenoch, future Prime Minister, and the great things she's doing, bearing in mind that there's been a lot of bad blood, particularly from Nigerians, about some of her statements. Maybe we'll get to listen to billionaire Aliko Dangote, but then him saying he feels perfectly safe in Nigeria.
Where did he go to? He flew from London, landed in Abuja, perhaps, flew again from Abuja,
Maybe landed at Imo Airport.
Imo Airport or whatever airport. They took him with security escort. We're not saying Nigeria is such a place that you have to be buried. No. We're not as unsafe as some people will suggest, but there's a huge sense of insecurity. Our people are being killed. Our people are being abducted. That doesn't mean there are no places that are safe. For instance, Lagos is safer than some other places. So you can't use Lagos as a yardstick to measure Nigeria's safety, or Abuja. Some of these places that are urban and we have enough security. But Boris was very excited to be in Nigeria.
He was talking about whiskey and all of that.
He was talking about so many things. So he knows that saying Nigeria is safe, he doesn't have it doesn't have all the entities, allow me to use that word, to be able to assess the level of safety of Nigeria. But it's good for Nigeria out there to hear a former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom say, Nigeria is safe. For us, it is a good thing, so that everybody who feels that we're literally dead bodies on the ground all over the country will know that, okay, we can actually come to our country, do a proper summit, have Ban Ki-moon, have himself and several other international guests and our own vice president at the place. But those of us who live here, we know better. Boris didn't go to anywhere beyond just moving from one airport to the other. But I don't want to dwell on that so much. And then on the issue of Kemi Badenoch, of course we wish our sister well. Even though sometimes our sister moves from fearless to foolhardy. But we wish our sister well. We hope she becomes UK Prime Minister someday. And we don't know whether when she becomes UK Prime Minister, whether some of us will still enter the UK, given the way she talks about her own country and the rest of them. So I'm not taking anything Boris is saying too seriously because he doesn't have a fair assessment of what we're dealing with as a country. But as a Nigerian, as a patriot, I'm happy that at least somebody came into our country to say it's not bad all over the place. There are places that are still safe. I think that's a great message also for Imo State, Owerri, because saying that he's in Owerri, everybody who was having issues about whether to go to Owerri this December or not will get the feeler from the British Prime Minister that, okay, I think we can come. So that's my take.
Well, it was interesting to listen to Mr. Boris Johnson yesterday, and for me, it just may be a matter of perspective on two levels. On the one hand, a matter of perspective, because perhaps, he's trying to, be politically correct, praise Nigeria, while being courteous to those who have invited him to, that economic summit. Matter of perspective, yes, because indeed, yes, Nigeria should be proud, and Nigeria is indeed proud of Kemi Badenoch, a brilliant politician, by the way. And don't forget that Kemi Badenoch is a leader of the Conservatives, and Boris Johnson himself is of the Conservative Party extraction in the United Kingdom. So they are on the same, ideology politically. So yes, indeed, Nigeria is proud of Kemi Badenoch, but the other issues cannot be discountenanced. Whether Mr. Johnson is aware of those issues that has pitted Nigeria against Kemi Badenoch, following much of her comments about her home country, I'm not quite sure that he's not aware of those issues. So perhaps this is a matter of deliberate looking away of those issues and not acknowledging them, such that he can politically correct before Nigeria, before Nigeria's elected leaders who have invited him to the occasion. Maybe, and Nigerians can excuse him on that level, but about the matter of safety, that definitely is a product of 90% of the time, ignorance of what the real situation is as far as Nigeria is concerned. If you had to travel by road to a lot of the states in the southeast, then you would know, Mr. Johnson would know, what Nigerians have to go through, economically as they go about their businesses, and indeed in trying just to be safe. And those issues we hope are being addressed. But yeah, we thank Mr. Johnson for helping us to remember that indeed we have a lot of talents that we can be proud of in the political space, in the entertainment and the arts and culture space. That's a very good reminder. Sometimes we don't appreciate what we have, and we need a reminder some of the time. So on that level, I think Mr. Johnson can be excused.
We wish him well. Another thing that was said, I think it was, I stand to be corrected. I think it was Wale Edun was there at that event when he talked about that under the previous administration, I think he was talking about the previous administration, households spend about 90% of their income on spend 90% of their income on a lot of the things they spend their monies on, but now it's about 50%. I don't know where I got that data. I don't know which sample. Whether if he's using the big macroeconomic number in terms of our revenue to debt servicing. Yeah, it's correct. We did better. But household is the different. I can tell you practically from me, your sample size is wrong. I know that Bola doesn't like the word wrong and lie. But let me say it this way. I used, if I load 100,000 naira of power, Kaja Electric, it takes me for like 3 months before now. Now 50,000 doesn't even take me up to 1 month. I've not bought anything new.
Well, 50,000 takes you...
No, I'm telling you, I've not bought anything new.
Because 50,000 is probably like a week now.
That's what I'm saying. So I don't know where Mr. Wale got his data from.
Well, for those on band A, that will be. And I think it's a reflection of the reality, the inflation. Definitely no. If I'm looking at, just looking at the dollar to naira alone, exactly, percent what it used to be. And even the household survey, we've not had that figure in a while. So yet again, it's important to question the source of that data. If it's data that we're not privy to, absolutely let us know through the MBS. The MBS has been lacking in some of those key data, I must say. And as I said, the general household survey is one that we would like to see. Let's see for
National Living Standard Survey as well.
So let us see those figures, because it's important to understand where you are deriving your own data from that is now influencing your decision. And the big one, our census. Our census has been, it's not even outdated. It's not relevant anymore. All we keep doing is doing projections. So we need to have data. We can't work without data. Absolutely.
Indeed, we can't work without data, and we must also trust the data that is coming from public institutions. When time and again, economic experts frown on the data put out by the NBS as far as inflation figures is concerned, or the rebasing, either it's CPI or the GDP rebasing, if we cannot trust the data, especially from those who also work similar paths professionally, then that appears to be a challenge. So are we proposing data from public institutions, but also from private economic firms who do not have anything to gain from the administration, to also put out data that can be compared with what comes out from public institutions, such that we can say, okay, this is what can be relied upon, and there's a question mark on this one. So that's a part of the conversation as well.
And so just heads up, so we're expecting a political move today somewhere in the country. I'm not going to give you clues, but just expect something political and interesting to happen later today.
Is it a defection?
I don't want to.
I can almost hazard a guess. So it's either a defection coming from Osho State.
Let me give you a clue of what I'm saying. More like, we're working on this, and it may not be good for everybody. Now I realize that this is not good for everybody. It may affect us at the end of the day. So let's begin to excuse ourselves before the thing spoils. You understand? Anyway,
let me give you a clue.
I'll tell you maybe on Monday.
No, let's give them a clue. Exactly this time, 2 years ago, that event played out. But say, step back. So it's almost like a replay of sorts. But hey, don't quote us until it happens.
It was an inconclusive. Anyway, let's
walk you through what we have on the show this morning. We're, of course, looking at that full list of President Bola Tinubu's ambassadorial nominees. Yes, career, non-career, a total of 68 now. Remember, 3 were sent in the first batch, and then we had another set, and finally we have 68 in total. Some names have come up, new names, I must say, and we'll walk through some of those names yet again.
From there, we'll touch on another subject that will interest you. Perhaps you may have lost count of the number of times that concerned individuals, have initiated litigation against the vehicle inspection officers over that function, contested function of impounding or arresting vehicles for not having particulars. Well, an appeal court has also affirmed a high court ruling on that as well. So we're putting it in proper perspective for you, helping you to understand the issues, the implications of this, and of course how the subnationals would react to this. We have a lawyer coming through on this conversation. And
then we'll go to Cross River Politics. 2 things. Go to Cross River Politics. Well, we understand that the state chairman has now been impeached. What exactly is playing out in the APC-led state of Cross River? We'll find out from all the players in that space. And of course, we'll be hosting a Guinness World Record holder. You know, this is their zone. We've been hosting Guinness World Record holders. So yet again, we're bringing a gentleman, Peter Adeleke, who broke the record for the longest leadership lesson right here on the program.
So, called out a birthday package for Jeffrey. But we'll take a moment now, and when we return, how are the dailies reporting the big stories? We'll find out as Mr. Dayo Akintobi joins us. Stay with us.
Mr. Dayo Akintobi, thank you so much for coming on the program.
My pleasure always. A very good morning to you and good morning, Nigeria.
And I hope it's not too cold out there in the UK. Boris Johnson is here.
It is freezing.
Oh, yeah, I heard.
I wish for Nigerian weather right now. We don't know how blessed we are with the weather we have in Nigeria, I tell you.
Yeah. All right, let's get straight to this Nigeria. Two stories you would touch on, but let's begin with the big one. Military rescues 318 kidnapped victims nationwide, says DHQ, that's Defense Headquarters, eliminates cause of terrorists in targeted air maritime strikes. I won't give excuses, Musa Defense Minister. Flush out bandits now, says Father Kuka. Ms. Akintobi.
Yes, well, this is good news. It looks like the momentum continues to take root, and all the various steps that have been taken recently, particularly with the appointment of retired General Musa as the new Minister for Defense. Typically, that has been a political appointment, which is okay in times of peace. But as I said before, we're not in a time of peace. We're pretty much in a time of war, which requires professionals to handle that ministry. So it's a very good appointment. First of all, the general himself has had a very good track record. Even as the CDS, he was highly regarded. And for him to now have been appointed to this post, first of all, let's remember that the current service chiefs are his juniors. He was essentially supervising them in his position as CDS. He's widely respected by them, and he's seen as a competent hand. So I foresee that there'll be a lot of synergy now that he is superintending the entire defense architecture. There'll be a better synergy between the different security apparatus, and I think he himself is very committed. For one thing, I like the fact that he doesn't believe in negotiating with bandits. He doesn't believe in the so-called quote-unquote non-kinetic approach. I love the way we come up with these, all of these catchphrases all of a sudden. The most frequently bandied about one in Nigeria now is kinetic and non-kinetic. And I keep asking myself, what exactly does that mean? But anyway, he believes in eliminating bandits. He's not one of those who will say bombs cannot penetrate a forest, for example. So we know that he's going to come out guns blazing and he will take no prisoners. However, having said that, military rescued 318 kidnapped victims. I'd like to see this rescue did not occur in a vacuum. Some kind of way there was either an engagement, there was either man-to-man, face-to-face warfare. What happened to the perpetrators? We hear too much about the victims, but the deterrence factor will only come from interdiction of the perpetrators. We don't hear too much. That's not to say it's not happening, but I think that there should be more attention paid to what happens to the perpetrators. Yes, we are happy that our victims have been rescued, they are coming home. That's the first priority. But the second order of business should be the people who committed these heinous crimes. What is the outcome? What is happening to them? Because of the deterrence factor. If it looks like, oh, we're just satisfied with rescuing our victims and we're not doing anything to bring the perpetrators to justice, I read somewhere that in this 318 kidnapped, perhaps about 76 terrorists were either arrested or eliminated. But that story is muted. That part of the story is not given enough light to where the news will spread to other perpetrators that you can't do this. If you do this, you'll be brought to book. The Senate is now considering death penalty for kidnapping. Good. But there are so many laws we have on the books that are not enforced or that are nonchalantly or lackadaisically approached. So the fact that the Senate puts it on the books and says a death penalty for kidnappers, I don't see that in itself as a deterrent enough, because they say, oh yeah, whoop-de-doo. How many people have you arrested and have you prosecuted and convicted and actually carried out the sentence on? So more attention needs to be paid to what happens to the perpetrators. Kudos on rescues. May they continue. But remember, rescue only becomes necessary after the fact. So we wish Brigadier Musa well as the new Minister of Defense. We want the kidnaps to not happen in the first place so that we don't have to have a rescue. But even if it does happen, that one or two kidnaps happen here or there, when the rescues occur, let us bring the perpetrators to book as well.
Well, indeed, you're very apt on that score, and we're looking at the National Assembly and also all the other actors in the fight against terrorism to see how much results will be recorded in the coming days. But The Guardian this morning, as we head over to the next paper, chose an entirely different path in its big story. But it's just as important when we consider some of the challenges in the public space. How stigma, poor treatment, funding, hobble HIV and AIDS rollback. And we see a very vivid image there telling the story. Safety net, donor fatigue, widens funding gap in healthcare. So it appears as if, Mr. Kitobi, there's an increasing impact being seen in reduction of donor funding in the fight against some of these health.
Can you see me?
Mr. Kitobi.
Yes, it seems as if this notion of HIV/AIDS in recent times, we seem to have rested on our laurels, believing that perhaps this thing is a thing of the past, that is not anything to worry about majorly, because perhaps there's treatments now and there's better awareness in prevention and things like that. But it is still as dangerous a medical issue, a healthcare issue, as it was in the beginning. But we seem to be paying short shrift to intervention, both financial from the health sector, and when they say funding sources are drying up, when HIV first became a thing that affected the elite, it was given so much attention and so much funding. But once the elite became educated and more aware, and it became a poor man's problem, everybody lost interest. The same thing about malaria, for example, how they said that if malaria had been a scourge of the West, they would have found a cure by now. But it's those those poor Africans that don't count that malaria affects, so nobody pays any attention to it. Well, HIV has the same issue. Is that now it is prevalent more among the rural poor. That's not to say it's not in the cities, it is, but the elite have found a solution. The elite can afford medication. They don't have to go to government hospitals for medication, for palliative care. And so once it no longer is a problem of the elite and becomes a problem of the poor, then it receives short shrift. So I do know that it is still a major health care concern. And even if we are kidding ourselves to think that it is not something that affects the elite, as long as it still exists within society, it can be transmitted to anybody, through anybody. So even the so-called elite that don't get it, if any of their domestic help or anybody who works for them or is close to them happens to get a pinprick, an exposed wound, and it can transmit in various ways. So I think that still goes back to the government again, even though we've seen some private initiatives in the past. Foundations were set up, free testing. Testing has always been key. Free testing was a thing for a very long time. Nowadays, you don't see that anymore. It's muted. It's as if that thing no longer exists in our midst, which is a big error. Same thing with COVID. For a very long time, we assumed COVID was gone and we forgot all about washing hands and all the preventive measures of COVID, only to hear that COVID still exists. So, you know, we do need a little bit more attention to be put back in the HIV/AIDS situation, and probably more public funding, more government intervention, more awareness. I'm glad Guardian brought this up. I'm glad they did, because I think we need our memories jigged as to how dangerous this thing is and how it was killing people not so long ago.
You know, there's always a lot to combat that people forget and move on so fast. In fact, some people have probably forgotten the challenges they faced yesterday, because there are new challenges today. But the Vanguard newspaper, Mr. Akintobi, speaks to a challenge that we're facing yesterday, today, and maybe tomorrow. Hopefully not forever, definitely. And it's about terror. We'll restore or defeat terror, restore order, peace, from a defense minister and NSA. And it's something we've spoken to time and again. But something catches my attention just below the big pictures on the front page. It's in purple, actually. You see, at Imo Economic Summit in Digbo, most significant stakeholders in the Nigeria project. That's coming from President Bola Tinubu, who was, of course, represented by the Vice President. Uzodimma opens state to multi-sectoral investment. We've talked about some of the, you know, how they call them, bigwigs, prominent people now, to be more appropriate, that were there. Even the Liberian President, Joseph Boakai, was there. I mean, that list was quite heavy. But what do you make of President Bola Tinubu's statement regarding Ndibo? It's one thing to say it, it's another thing to, as they say now, show working. So do you think they match, the statement and the evidence?
I'm sorry, Kayode, your volume kind of went there. I could tell you're the one speaking, but I couldn't really make out what you were saying.
Oh dear.
I see the Vanguard newspaper on the screen.
Can you hear me now, Mr. Akintobi?
It looks like you might have been talking about...
Mr. Akintobi, just to be clear, can you hear me now?
And terrorists need to be flushed.
Mr. Akintobi, let me confirm if you can hear me now, so I can put through the question.
It goes back to...
Okay. Jeffrey Bukola, do you want to help out? We need to fix this audio here, guys.
Well, Mr. Akintobi, if you can hear us, we're looking at the Vanguard newspaper. Of course, it captures the resolve of the new defense minister, General Christopher Musa, retired, on what his mandate would look like as he resumes office. But Kade is specifically looking at something that appears on the bottom page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning, and it's an interesting one in the light of, developments in Nigeria's southeast. Ndibo, most significant stakeholders in the Nigeria project. That's ascribed to Mr. President. And there's another one just at the bottom. Uzodimma opens state to multi-sectoral investment, coming through from the Imo Economic Summit that held yesterday and drew national attention. But are you quite confident in this positioning of the administration, in the expression of support for Ndibo, in the light of all the other events happening in Nigeria's southeast? Mr. Akintobi.
I don't think Mr. Akintobi can hear us, we hope we can reconnect with him, but Kaido was asking, the argument is to inclusion and representation, especially president and vice president, which is what the Ndibo people have been fighting for, those of them from the southeast. But if you look, again, the argument over his inclusion is making efforts, so whether or not get their buy-in as a people. But Igbo people have been, which is the reason for the agitation over marginalization issues. I think so far so good. The Southwest has enjoyed leadership of Nigeria for at least guaranteed 12 years. If Bola Tinubu wins the election, it's going to be 16 years out of the 26 now. No, that would have been more years now. And then the South Side had about 5 or 6 years. And then the North had about 10 years. So North Central, Northeast, Southeast have been marginalized in terms of that is the political argument. That's why time and again, the president tries to reassure them that, look, you have a seat on this table, but what they want as a seat on the table is to be able to become Nigeria's president one way or the other. But in terms of appointment, you see, even the latest appointment, even states where he lost woefully, like Imo, no, not Imo now, Enugu and Abia in the last election.
He lost in Imo.
Yes, I'm just saying, I'm referencing...
If I lost in the Southeast woefully.
He lost woefully in the Southeast, but I'm saying that he still made appointments of the governors. I think,
I see, for the ambassadorial.
The ambassadorial nominees.
So he's trying to, whether it's tokenism to tell them, look, with time, it's going to get better. I don't know.
And that's what it may just amount to, because beyond representation, there's also the matter of interests. And, you know, somewhere on the front page of the papers this morning, Igbo leaders are being carpeted, you know, for being silent over the fate of Nnamdi Kanu, leader of IPOB. And, you know, this contrasts with the position of the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, I believe, at the start of her appointment, that indeed there was optimism that Nnamdi Kanu would be released. And so there's a preponderance of views both in the Igbo community and among civil society organizations that, you know, Kanu is a political prisoner and indeed he should be released. But his sentencing has contrasted, you know, has gone against that, you know, block of opinion poll, and of course the interests of Nigeria's Southeast. So what are the leaders in the Igbo community doing, you know, about this verdict that has now come through for the Igbo? And again, what does this say about the positioning of the administration that Igbo forms the nucleus, you know, of development? So I guess it's a conversation that will continue in the coming days.
All right, well, thank Mr. Dayakintobi for coming through. We couldn't get the entirety of your thoughts because of network glitches. That word again. But thank you, Mr. Dayakintobi, a public affairs analyst and a journalist. We'll be back in just a moment to start off with our very first conversation for the day. Stay with us. Welcome back. In total, we have 68 ambassadorial nominees. 3 have been screened by the Foreign Affairs Committee, and the remaining 65 have just 1 week, according to the instruction by the Senate to the committee, to get back to them in plenary as to whether they will confirm or not. And new names have emerged. The first list had the highlights of Mahmoud Yakubu, former INEC chair, Femi Fani-Kayode, Reno Mokri, former governors of Enugu and Abia State, and several other persons. But the new list, or additional names that have been added to the list, now includes Abdurrahman Dambazo, former Minister of Interior and former Army boss. Of course, we also have naval boss and immediate past administrator of River State, Ibokete Bas. We also have Senator Itainang and many more others. So in total, 64 persons will be screened. That's why we're bringing in a public affairs analyst, a political affairs analyst as well. Mr. Jide Ojo joins us this morning. Mr. Ojo, thank you for coming on the program. Mr. Ojo, if you can unmute your device so we can hear you, sir.
It's already unmuted.
All right, fantastic. We can hear you loud and clear. Yes, more names, more comments or commentaries, if you will, as far as those names are concerned. What do you make of it? Let's begin with the generic overview.
Well, my point about the ambassadorial list is, one, it's not been coming. It has taken the president 2 years to put this together. I don't think that is that looks good on the president. Secondly, is I think people who have issues with corruption allegation and currently under prosecution should not have made that list. This is my own personal opinion. Given the fact that they are going to be representing the country outside, it speaks volume when someone who is your ambassador is answering criminal allegations, is wanted corruption, or is having to deal with issue of corruption, allegation, and all of that. But it is what it is. It's compensation. I guess it's just to give compensation to those who have worked for the president, including those who did anti-party in their respective party. Because people have said, oh, this is a unification list. At least we have people from the opposition political party, just like we had with the ministerial nomination. We have people like Nyesom Wike and VIO, the Minister of Power, who was at that time in our Accord Party, was appointed as minister. You also recall that Dame Bianca Ojukwu is still a member of the All Progressive Grand Alliance and is a minister of the Federal Republic under APC. So people have also said this ambassadorial list, particularly the non-career ambassadorial list, is made up of people from different political parties. But if you have to do anti-party to get this kind of recognition, I don't think it's helping to build our democratic institutions. Yesterday night, I saw on the social media that the ambassador nominee from Yobe State, one senator, is dead. He died in June, and his name still made it to the list. I don't know if that is confirmed, but that brings us back to the era where people are nominated without due process to know whether they are still alive or not. We do know for a fact that this list had been with the Senate since first quarter of this year, and that from newspaper reports, they said they were going to overhaul the list when Donald Trump made that tweet threatening to come gun a-blazing to deal with terrorists in Nigeria. And I thought that those who are in charge of preparation of the list should have ensured that whether career or non-career ambassadors are people who are alive and that nothing has changed from the initial position. Because I do know from first quarter of this year that Reno Mokri and Femi Fani-Kayode had been speculated to be on that initial list. That was as far back as March this year. So nothing really surprising, but it is what it is. Let's hope for the best that the Senate will do due diligence and reject any nomination that is either controversial or will not be in the best interest of Nigeria.
Quite a lot to unpack, really. And for a lot of people who have been wondering, what is the rationale behind this? What is the president trying to achieve? What would you say it looks like for you? By the way, I see you were referring to the nominee from Yobe State, Adamu Garba Talba Nagri. And yes, indeed, in July, in fact, the governor of Yobe State himself, Maimala Buni, mourned the passing of Senator Adamu Talba. So we'll find out if those are the same people really on that list, because if it is the truth, then that is a big one, a big gaffe by the government. But speak to us about what it looks like the president is trying to achieve, because he sort of broke it down: career ambassadors, non-career, in addition to the first batch of 3 he had sent. So it almost looks like patronage, big on patronage, trying to patronize those who had earlier unsupported or patronized the president. Then he gives some room for professionalism. But the optics of it, what does it look like for you?
Well, Kayode, if you look at the optics, it's a misgrill. We do know, I recall that the Presidential Campaign Council of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was made up of over 3,000 APC members, 3,000 or thereabout. Now, many have been waiting in the wings, hoping that they will get their due compensation in this first term. And I recall that there was an agitation some months back, some people crying out in the media that we work for you, you have not given us anything for the good job we did in enthroning you as president. And I recall that the president said, calm down, and we still have the ministerial list being prepared. The ambassadorial list being prepared. So it's obviously patronage. It's about compensation for those who worked for him. But you see, it's not just an ambassadorial appointment, is not just head of ministry, department, and agency. This person is going to be representing your interest in another country. And you know the embassy of every country is an extension of the country that he or she represents. So I think the president needs to be very sensitive. I have no issue with the non-career, the career ambassador. The career ambassador, they are very strict in diplomacy. These are people who have risen through the ranks. They've gone through trainings and all of that. But if you have a politician-heavy ambassadorial list, aside from being job for the boys, what then do you achieve at the end of the day? Because I have written a couple of articles in my column in the Punch newspaper, begging and pleading and lobbying and asking the president to appoint ambassadors 2 years into his administration. So when the name started coming out, I was excited, I was happy, because the belief I have is that if we have a very good ambassador in the US, this issue of Christian genocide could have been tamed and some clarity could have been provided, rather than relying heavily on Minister of Foreign Affairs and Nigeria Diaspora Commission to be doing all the troubleshooting. But now that we have the list, again, one of the shortcomings of this list is that we don't know who is going where. Aside from the first 3 who were appointed, and we are told one will go to UK, one will go to US, one will go to, is it Canada or Germany? But even then, it wasn't that we were told that this is where this particular person is going. And I think in subsequent nomination, we should know, where is this person being sent? Is it being sent to sensitive country? Because sincerely speaking, we have about 197 countries all over the globe. I know the list may not be that heavy to have ambassador in every country. Some will have dual mandates, maybe one ambassador covering 2-3 countries. So I know that this 65 is still a far cry. Maybe we'll get to 100 or thereabout, or 120. We don't know whether the president is going to shut down any of the high commissions and embassies because of paucity of funds, because that's what Minister of Foreign Affairs said middle of the year when he was asked when would the ambassadorial list come out, and he said because of economic paucity of funds to run those embassies, government has to take a deep dive and think through how to. So we have not had any policy statement from the Minister of Foreign Affairs or from the presidency, whether some of these embassies will be shut down or who will go to where. But suffice to say that I think if at the end of the day the Senate confirms all of these 68, they need to be properly trained. A kind of induction must happen, particularly for the politicians amongst them.
Mr. Joe,
of having to be there.
Yeah, and that also sets the agenda for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as well, which is part of the conversation that maybe, may have been overlooked, the state of foreign ministries abroad. But let's expand the conversation now as we bring in Chief Godi Uwazurike, a lawyer and Ohaneze chieftain who joins us in the studio for this same conversation. Chief Uwazurike, good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning.
We're very glad you could make it.
Thank you.
So let's start off. The new list sent by the president now brings the total number of ambassadorial nominees to 68. It's a potpourri of, I think, 38 career ambassadors and 33 non-career ambassadors. What are your thoughts on some of the new names that have emerged on that list?
Well, I know that an ambassador is essentially a representative or a reflection of the country. If you represent Nigeria, if you represent America, Britain, you are seen as the personification of that country. So if within Nigeria, somebody will Google and find that you have a dating name in Nigeria, Nigeria is sending you to their country, obviously you have failed. I know they have what they call agreement. In other words, you write the country, will you accept this person? The country will say, yes, I accept, or I don't accept. But an ambassador I have always known as a gentleman, a polished person, not a swagger person, certainly not a bush person. That's the way I see them. So right now, we have people whose names are tainted before the whole world. And because of Google, you don't talk of happening in one country, you don't know about it. Because of Google, if Alhaji AK is now the ambassador, all I have to do is Google Alhaji AK, and everything the man has said, every scandal comes out. Good things hardly come out on Google. So right now, that list is what I would describe as the good, the bad, and the ugly.
So let's be specific. Which do you find to be the good, the bad, the ugly?
Well, the career ambassadors, to be honest, we don't know anything about them. But those who have held political offices are already in the public view. So there's no way you can hide. If you have been a governor for 8 years and after 8 years, the people are heaving a sigh of relief. They can't even elect you to be a senator, and they are going to stand in front of another president in another country to represent Nigeria. Oh, I speak for Nigeria. Can you speak for Nigeria when you can't even speak for your own state? So most of those ex-governors, believe me, they are neither here nor there. Two, there are some people who see their own qualification as promoting ethnic hatred. All those who promote ethnic hatred certainly are already known. They don't hide their identities.
That's huge.
They don't hide their identities. Even up to today, they still write. I heard the Igbo man, I heard the Hausa man, I heard the Yoruba man, I heard... Look, you are going to represent everybody. And you are seeing yourself as an ethnic champion. And the president is appointing you to go and stand in for him. Let's face it, Mr. President has been touring various countries. We always read of one agreement or the other. Who is going to push it? It's the ambassador. But if the ambassador is somebody with a foul mouth, so how can he do that? Ambassadors are polished. If you have been involved in one scandal or the other, believe me, nobody will see you as a credible person. Again, the INEC chairman, what is he doing there? What is he doing there? Under the INEC law, he's not even supposed to take up a political appointment immediately. And that has been the pattern. You don't make the ministers, you don't make them anything. But if they're from the academics, they can go back there. But then, a couple of months, I think a month after, because his tenure actually has just ended. He was on vacation. Mm-hmm. Suddenly he is now back in the realm of politics. It makes no sense.
I think a lot of people even drew similarities, a comparison with what happened with Jega. He didn't get an appointment until about 2 years plus after he left office, and he was on the board of one of the universities. I think you were referring to the former governors of Enugu and Abia and their senatorial bids, which failed, and their names are here. A lot of people have also raised questions about the former sole administrator of Rivers State, whose name is also on the list. So 34 of them are career, so professionals. 31 of them non-career, so you can say non-professionals. And we had 3 earlier which were submitted. So if you weigh, it's sort of like maybe a balance, or there's more professionals on that list than non-professionals, if you pardon the use of that language. But the president said something through the vice president, which I want you to react to, Chief. And it's on the front page of the dailies. He said it during the Imo Economic Summit, that Indigbo is central to Nigeria's development, and I imagine by extension to his government. And the question is, that statement, does it match the reality you see in terms of maybe appointments, carrying the Southeast along?
Well, I'm glad you asked this question. The best the Igbo people can produce are not in government.
Who?
The best the Igbo people can produce are in the private sector now. And it's because of systematic issues that arose. So the best brains quietly go. Then in politics, once in a while you have a very good person like Dr. Alex Oti of Abia State. You see him is among the best. That's why the people rejoiced when he came out. But you also see those who see governance as a jamboree, as a way to show off. So what the president said is right. The Igbos are very key, but they're in the private sector now. And anytime you bring somebody who I would say is neither here nor there, they pull back. The easiest way to discourage somebody who wants to do good is to promote the bad ones. If you promote the bad people, they say the bad people are excelling. The good ones are not, you know. So right now, Abia State former governor, remember, is still in court for corruption. He has gone to court asking the court to stop them from probing him, pending Susanso. Well, it is still pending. The man is traveling out as ambassador, appointed by the same government that is supposed to fight corruption.
All right, Chief, let's take it to Mr. Ojo. Mr. Ojo, the Chief here has literally said what he has to say, no holds barred, literally mentioning names of quality and character of the persons that have been nominated, bringing to the fore the fact that one even has a pending court case, but is still nominated as an ambassador. Ibokete Bazo occupied the very controversial position after the president, in my enlightened opinion, unconstitutionally removed elected officials, is on that list as well. What do you make of the decision? Because let's be clear, the president has the exclusive preserve, Section 5, Section 171, to decide who he wants to appoint where. It is now the work of the National Assembly to say, President, you were right or you were wrong. What do you expect of the National Assembly as far as this list is concerned? Is there anybody there who doesn't pass the mark of credibility, credential, and competence? And what do you expect the National Assembly to do?
Oh, Geoffrey, thank you for that question. For me, I think the president, someone has said the president may have made the nomination and may have also hinted the National Assembly to drop some people by not confirming them, so that it will be like the case of El-Rufai. We don't know yet. We don't know what the Senate will eventually do. But we know that appointments that has to do with senatorial Senate screening are not necessarily a done deal. At least I recall that 3 or 4 ministerial nominees were dropped. Some even at the point of screening. Remember the Miriam Shetty lady from Kano, who was even there on the day for screening, and she was substituted. So everything can happen until that screening takes place and confirmation is done. The point is, even under our legal jurisprudence, a person is assumed presumed innocent until found guilty. So I know, as I've said earlier on, president should have avoided a situation where people who are answering corruption charges are appointed as ambassador, because until they are discharged and acquitted, you cannot in good conscience say that this person has passed the credibility mark. But again, it is what it is. Like I was saying in my earlier response, there are, just like ministries, departments, and agencies, there are also different high commissions and embassies. Some are grade A, some are grade B, some are grade C, some are grade E. For instance, if somebody is just going to be posted to Benin Republic or to Togo, that person may not be someone you will post to US or Canada or to UK or to the European Union. So the issue is a kind of balancing. The president wants to be seen as settling those who work for him, right, or their spouses, as it were. So it is for the Senate to actually do the needful by ensuring that people who are of those who have integrity deficit, even if they have academic excellence, they are dropped from the list. But I think I would like to see more women on that list. and also persons with disability and youth, so that there will be proper inclusion on that ambassadorial nomination.
All right, indeed. Let's bring it out to Chief Wazirike. In the same breath, one of the things going for this administration is sometimes it indeed demonstrates that it has a listening ear. I recall the list of presidential pardon, which was reviewed. Are you expecting any such possibility in case the Senate decides to drop some names? And this is also against the backdrop of concerns from those who have worked in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs before, that there are staff of the Foreign Affairs who have served diligently that are supposed to be rewarded, with deployments, and have not been so rewarded. Instead, we have seen politicians on that list.
Well, yes, the president has a prerogative to hire and fire, to pick and not to pick, and to drop at any time. But I don't expect him to drop them. Somebody like Ibas, he still has one question mark. What happened in River State? What did he do with the funds? Mr. President knew what he was doing when he appointed him. Ibas is not a stranger to him. Ibas was always been a frequent visitor until of late. So you can't tell him to drop Ibas. You can't tell him to drop any of the former governors. You can't tell him to drop any of the ethnic merchants. They have always been there with him. They are not strangers. It is only when people who he's not familiar with that he sees their name and says, but who is this person? Virtually all the non-career ambassadors had one thing or other to do with the president. And that list has been pending, from what I understand, for about 2 years now. So part of the Trump effect is how to railroad this. And if the National Assembly is what I think it is, there's no question. They will almost bow and go. Almost, not all.
Interesting perspective. Well, the National Assembly is up to them now to do their work. I think for the first time in a long while, the grilling of the former Chief of Defense Staff impressed Nigerians. It looks like they borrowed leaf from what we saw at the subcommittee, with the greatest respect to our National Assembly, by the way. But in case the National Assembly wonders why it feels like Nigerians are not happy, because they want grilling. And so when they saw it, the 5 hour, they were excited that this is the work. We hope maybe that will happen at the committee level. Almost thank you both. We wish we had more time, sir. Chief Godi Wazirike is a legal practitioner. As always, we have Mr. Jide Ojo, who's always coming through for us, public affairs analyst. Mr. Ojo, thank you. We appreciate you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
You too. All right, we'll take a break. And when we come back, let's find out what exactly is playing out in politics and other issues in just a moment. Stay with us.
Welcome back. And so from the subject of ambassadorial nominees, we head over to regulation on Nigerian roads. Is it a matter of convention or a matter of government regulation? This comes on the heels of a court of appeal in Abuja, which affirmed a judgment of a federal high court, Abuja, which also barred the Directorate of Road Traffic Services, also called Vehicle Inspection Officers, VIO, from further stopping, impounding, or confiscating vehicles on the road and imposing fines on motorists. Of course, this is a case initiated by a public interest lawyer, an individual, Abubakar Marshall. Let's get perspectives, legal perspectives on this matter. And constitutional lawyer, Mr. Malaki Ugummadu, joins us right here in our Lagos studio. Mr. Ugummadu, thank you for coming through on this one.
Thank you for the opportunity again. Good morning, viewers.
Yeah. Thank you for coming, sir. Now, this just adds to the growing number of litigations that we've seen over the last decade on the function of VIO to inspect vehicles. I recall that, sometime during the tenure of former governor of Lagos State, Akinwumi Ambode, the vehicle inspection officers were withdrawn from the roads, and for a time it was not seen. let's put it into proper perspective now. Which body, either government or arm of government, has the powers to regulate vehicles on the road constitutionally?
Well, you would know that the Constitution is the organic law. It sets out the framework of the laws regulating the country, the powers, and the delineation of those powers. You don't find everything in the Constitution. These are statutory matters. Now, having said that, the police, there is a traffic division of the Nigerian police that deals with all of this, not the VIO, which is an agency separate from the police. What the court has done is, to, like you said, to affirm the judgment of the Federal High Court and, emphasize the point that the VIO has no such powers to stop, search, and most often than not, impound vehicles on the Nigerian roads. They felt that the Federal High Court was wrong and appealed the decision. I hope they don't suffer the same brainwave to go on appeal, because in law we know about concurrent holdings of lower courts. But I think that the point should be made even clearer, that what Nigerians have witnessed over time is the overzealousness of these law enforcement agencies at this level against the citizens of this country, no less motorists, in the use of their... We have just barely finished with the tinted glass. Yeah. I was here where Kayode interviewed me because, like I did point out, about 9 years ago, this same issue came up. I personally took it to court. Now, as if there was no lesson learned that time, it was reintroduced again until they have to, run away from it once more. So it is either the FRS or the VIO or the Nigerians have become overwhelmed by the excesses of these agencies. So the Court of Appeal should be commended. The lawyer, Masha, who is also an associate of Femi Falana, should be seriously commended, just as we have, commended very many other public interest litigators, many of whom are lawyers, who are challenging these excesses in our view. And I think we should just focus on the security crisis in the country rather than dissipate undue energy on what Nigerians ought to enjoy as freedom of movement.
So what now will be, I know that security is big on everybody's mind, but if you permit me just for a moment to add and ask, what then now is the role of the VIO? How can they be effective if they can't arrest, impound as stated by the court in that judgment?
So again, they should go back to the enabling law establishing them. None of these agencies is hanging in the air. What has happened is that over time, they arrogate to themselves powers that they don't have. In fact, Buki, you are right when you said that years ago, here in Lagos, considering the menace they constituted, the government of that day directed that they should go back to their offices and do the administrative works that they are designed to carry on with, rather than coming to the roads and then compound and conflict the job of other law enforcement agencies. Because as it is, what they were doing, like I said, is purely the statutory functions of the traffic division of the Nigerian police force. And most often than not, you see overlapping of this responsibility. In fact, they stay few meters away from where the police is. Yeah. So when the police finishes with their stop and search, you face the next within the city area. We're not talking of express road like this. You have road safety at one corner, you have them at another corner, you have the police, you have LASMA, and that is talking about Lagos. So the Court of Appeal was right to affirm the decision of the Federal High Court. They should go back to their office. If it is found out clearly that this is a duplication of responsibility, this is a good moment to collapse these agencies, because it adds to the overcost, it adds to the overhead, it increases the cost implication of running all of these agencies. Because as it turned out, the Court of Appeal is clear that you cannot usurp the functions of the police. In fact, the court went ahead to say that the idea of imposing fine should be reserved for the courts. If you find any transgression by a motorist, your responsibility as a law enforcement agency is to charge that person to court. We made the same statement with respect to the tinted glass thing, and quarried heavily with the idea of demanding that fees should be paid into private accounts. Yeah, I mean, it's a country regulated by law, yes.
This is something you find across board. You go to the airport, for example. I mean, you go to other climes, and the only interface you'll have at the airport is with the airline officials, who then go through your document, and of course the immigrations, and then they'll pass you. But here in Nigeria, from agriculture quarantine to NDLEA to SSS, come on, and that's even not counting the ones you met outside that have virus too. So it's almost what we find on the road. So wherever you travel, you always find one headache or the other. But I want you to speak to
except that you were charitable to leave out the touts who are just
those are the ones I said you meet outside.
Non-state actors.
So on the road now, in terms of operationalization, every Nigerian, or at least a large number of the population, have seen this judgment. By the way, we've had this before. It's been running since 2023. Time and again, we get some sort of pronouncement. We had it in Delta, even in Kogi, and here in Lagos. So how should Nigerians approach VIO now, the next time they see them on the road, which I imagine will be this morning? Maybe this morning. Should I, as I'm approaching them, should I stop and say, have you seen this court order? You cannot fine, you cannot stop, you cannot impound, confiscate, or
you should not be here.
Or you should not be here. Or should I just respect myself and submit so that there's no embarrassment? How should we approach this?
I remember this was exactly the same question you put.
Oh, yes. Because the law is one thing, judgments are one thing.
No. See, for some of us, and it should be for every Nigerian, you don't just hear the law, you believe in it.
Right.
In short, it starts that way. If there are no force of conviction around what is going on, the strength of whoever oppresses you lies in your weakness. And it starts with that ambivalence, whether indeed this is it or this is not it. The social media has made this even simpler. But yesterday when I had a long week, but I got snippets of what has happened. By the time you politely tell a law enforcement agency what has happened, he, being a law enforcement agency, ought to know that this has become a judgment of God. In fact, you're running the risk of exposing your superior, no less the head of that agency, for what we call contempt of court, if you proceed. Because God forbid, if you meet people like us and you run foul of what I'm telling you now, you are preparing very solid ground for the next contestation. And that is how every person mustn't be a lawyer. But Nigerians must know that, in fact, the action was instituted pursuant to your constitutional right to movement. It's fundamental, it's guaranteed. We don't just hear it, we believe it. And we want to be sure that we are not from Ghana or Cameroon. I kept seeing it. So, Nigerians, and thanks for the media, for you people who are highlighting this, is part of the whole sensitization program. Here we are. When the judgment was delivered at the lower trial court, they felt, which is right, I mean, the option they have is to appeal, and they did appeal. The Court of Appeal of 3 panel justices have now, dispassionately looked at the matter and have come to this verdict. VIO should waste no further time they should not incur the additional cost and exposure. And once you are cited for contempt of court, it is a criminal, a quasi-criminal matter. That will disqualify you from that office. So it's by far more than just saying we will not obey. In fact, I expect that from this moment, they should all be withdrawn all across the country.
And I believe the ruling is binding on all 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory.
VIO is VIO. So it is not VIO of Mushin or of Gwagwalada, VIO operational in Nigeria. And if they choose not to, I'm sure that those who found the courage to contest it in the first place.
Mr. Malaka, we're totally out of time. We're literally out of time. But I know you have a take on national security. We could do that in just a minute.
In relation to...
No. Any comment you talked about which will be focused on issues of national security?
Well, I think quite
1 minute.
Quite a lot is happening. I mean, we have seen the reappointment of... appointment of the former CDS as now the substantive Minister of Defense. Since you said I don't have time, I wanted to, analyze what that occurrence is in the history of our country, where somebody was relieved of his job as a CDS and is found very suitable to take on the... But I think that in the entire mix is the need to have a more secured country. And we all need to be interested in it, do the best we can to collaborate and then assist the state. But I think it is the thinking of the Nigerians that not quite much, not enough is done to secure this country the way it should. And we have all that it takes to get Nigeria as a secured country within the Committee of Nations.
And indeed, that was the optimism expressed by the Minister of Defense when he was, former outgoing CDS upon his retirement. We must anchor at this point, and thank you very much, Mr. Malaki Ugumadu, constitutional lawyer, for joining us on this particular one.
The pleasure was mine. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. So when you encounter vehicle inspection officers in those corners where they always hide, waiting for you, be sure to quote Justice Joju Oyewumi's ruling from the appeal court barring vehicle inspection officers from impounding, inspecting, or confiscating your vehicles, and refer them to that judgment. We'll take a moment now. When we return, it will be time to touch on politics from Cross River State. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Politics in Cross River State. Yes, we're still keeping our eyes on River State. So there's a lot happening in South Nigeria. But the APC in Cross River State is going through some sort of crisis, leadership crisis, right? News filtered in yesterday that the embattled chairman now, Mr. Alfonso Eba, was impeached by the SEC. But he says, no, I've not been impeached. So let's find out what exactly is playing out in Cross River APC. We're joined on the program by Mr. Alfonso Eba himself, the embattled APC chairman in Cross River State. And we also have with us Mr. Kelvin Jong, who's the chairman APC Cross River State. He's like the head of the Council of Chairmen from the chapters in Cross River State for the APC. And they both join us virtually on the program. Gentlemen, you're welcome. And I'll start naturally with Mr. Eba and find out your statement yesterday saying this is a joke, that you do not agree with the decision of a SEC. But it is said that majority of them cast a vote of no confidence on your leadership. So why then do you say this impeachment doesn't hold water? Mr. Eba, that's for you, please. All right, just to be clear, can you hear me, Mr. Eba?
Good morning, Nigerians.
Ah, great. So I was asking
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I hope you can hear us. So I'll just go ahead with the question one more time.
I can hear you.
Fantastic. So you have described this impeachment as a joke, but from what we hear, majority of the executives voted against you. I think about 30 of them. So why do you describe it as a joke? And they lay lots of allegations against you. All right, well, we'll try to resolve that. Let me go back to Mr. Njonga and hope that he can hear us. Mr. Njonga, are you there? Can you confirm if you can hear us as well?
I can hear you very well. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Nigeria.
Good morning. So walk us through the process of this impeachment. A lot of people are thinking impeachment. Why use that term? But impeachment basically means that you either charging someone with a crime or misdemeanor, or you're casting doubt on the position, in this case, the leadership of Mr. Eba. So why make this decision? Because he's described it as a joke.
For me, as party chairman of local government and chairman of chapter chairman's forum in Cross River State, yes, there was leadership crisis in the state, but as at this today, it has been put to rest. For the past 4 months, no chapter chairman has gone to the party secretaries based on the issues we raised against our former party chairman. So as at yesterday, the issues have been laid to rest because the State Executive Committee has confirmed what we submitted to them. We submitted a document to them on the issues we feel were really affecting the party at the grassroots. And what were the issues? Like I speak with you, for the past 4 months, we have not received stipend that is meant for the local government award. Meanwhile, this subvention is from the state. We have not received our own. The organ of the party at the chapter, local government level, and the ward level have not received their stipend. Like I speak with you, the money for the sales of forms, nomination forms in the 2023 general elections, the percentage for the local government award have not been remitted to us. As I speak with you, the issue of high-handedness, the issue of instigating party officials against ourselves,
right,
where there is tension and there is crisis in almost all the local government awards across the states.
Right.
A situation where 196 ward chairmen, 18 chapter chairmen in the local, we have 196 wards in the state. All their ward chairmen came out and said, we don't want this, our chairman, to continue.
All right.
We have 18 local government area in the state. All the 18 local government party chairmen says we don't want this man to continue. We have 36 state officers of the party in the state. I know 2 or 3 of them are incapacitated, they are not feeling too strong. 30 will say we don't want this man to continue.
But he has said it's a joke taken too far, Mr. Njong. Let's see if we can get his response through now. Mr. Eba, I really hope that that has been sorted and you can hear us clearly. You described it as a joke taken too far. But Mr. Njong here is laying major allegations, particularly regarding financial impropriety, saying that their stipends have not been paid, that your office has not remitted the percentage due to the local government of the forms that were sold. He also accuses you of high-handedness. So for 30 out of 32 that are able to vote to have impeached you, according to them, that is a major one. It doesn't sound like a joke, Mr. Eba.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Nigerians. Let me laugh again to it and call it a joke. I am happy that what my younger brother has said can just be kept for record purposes. The book of Romans 13, 1 to 7 teaches us to subject ourselves to the authority and to give honor to whom honor is due. Because of the respect I have for the governor, who called me yesterday and said these issues will be addressed, and because of my high respect for the national chairman of our great party, who had also said I should remain calm and the matters will be addressed, and he also called my governor to stay action, and as a follow-up, the national legal advisor of our great party sent a letter yesterday to me to be in Abuja on Monday to answer to some of the allegations raised. I will do my best not to wash the dirty linens of these younger people in public. I am sure some of these documents will be for the consumption of the party when the matter is properly addressed. I am a child of God. I fear God. And that is why I said I like sounding episcopally each time I talk. If you look at the book of Luke 23:34, even in an agonizing moment, my Lord Jesus Christ said, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they do.
All right, This
is going to be an interesting matter in the next few days,
all right, Mr. Eba,
when the matters are properly addressed. But first, let me speak to some of the allegations very clearly. The young man before you is a chapter chairman of a local government who today is also a commissioner in the Forestry Commission. By virtue of Article 17(1) Roman figure 4, I dash them all the constitution of the party. He has no legal capacity to be sitting as chairman. I also have no dispute with him. But it takes my maturity and humility to sit before you to share and argue issues with a young man who cannot take up dispute with us. Because by Article 21(3) Roman figure 6C, it is only the State Executive Committee of the party that is at the adjudicative body of the first instance of matters that come from the local government. They cannot adjudicate matters over us. The relevant body by Article 21(3) Roman figure 6D is the Zonal Executive Committee of our party. I am sure when we get to Abuja, these matters will be addressed. So just to let you know that he has come to lie to you.
Mr. Eba, if you can hear me, can you hear me? Can you hear us, Mr.
Yes,
Eba?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay,
can you hear
so
me?
Yes, I can hear you. So yes,
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
We have paid.
Can you hear us?
We have paid every ward and chapter executive their stipends from the day I took off as chairman of party till the last salary in October, because I've not seen November own, has been paid up to date. I have bank statements here to that effect, which I'm going to drop in Abuja. But please, I will need these record clips, because the young man sitting before you has money in his account, so that we will know who is lying. He has alleged that I collect 60 million naira in a month.
All right,
the record to my party's account.
We need to come into the conversation. Just a moment.
No, allow me to talk now. You brought me here. Listen to me.
We don't have the luxury. Just hold on. Mr. Eba, it's a conversation.
I will allow you to talk.
Yeah, just hold on. Mr. Eba, you're my guest.
When you tell me hold on, you said hold on.
No, Mr. Eba.
They have been addressing press conferences against me for the last 3 weeks.
Mr. Eba.
Today is the only first day I have time to talk.
Mr. Eba.
So, but since you have brought it, can you listen to me?
Mr. Eba, can you just pay attention? We invited you. It's courtesy demands that if we tell you to hold on, there's a reason. Okay? We will allow you talk. So that we don't get this back and forth debate. In line with what you're saying, I want you to maybe establish us first in completing your thoughts. Who actually suspended you or impeached you as chairman of the party at the state level? Let's be clear on that.
I love this question. This question would have come after addressing the allegations he has raised now. I want you to get the facts. I am called a political evangelism. There was no APC in Cross River State in government. God used me to do it. People cannot rubbish me. My name is too big to be rubbished. I live my life above board. I told His Excellency yesterday, the young man before you was not among the people that purportedly exercised the legal powers to say they have impeached. I don't know which part of our articles that talks about the impeachment of a state chairman of a party. The best I know under Article 17(1) and 2 is that a vote of no confidence can be passed if fair hearing has been given, and that will come by 2/3 majority of the relevant organ. And what is the relevant organ in this case? The relevant organ under Article 21(3) Roman figure 6D is the zonal executive of the party. They are the ones that can investigate any issue about me. The law of natural justice I talk about audi alteram partem, here the other side. And nemo judes in causa sua. You cannot be a judge in your case. Who called the meeting of the State Executive Committee? I am the only one that can convene that meeting. And when I was in Benin in my Robert Research Institute work last week, my deputy chairman of party, without authority from me, called the meeting,
Mr. Iba,
of which I authorized that it should be suspended.
Mr. Iba,
the meeting should be suspended, but they went on to hold a meeting.
Mr. Iba,
I don't know what for.
Mr. Iba, please conclude your thoughts on the allegations leveled against you so that we can quickly take it. Yes, very quickly. Conclude.
So thank you. Don't tell me very quickly. I'm here for you. First, I have paid their salary up to date, so he came to lie to you. Two, he does not have the legal capacity to sit down today as chairman of Boki, chapter chairman. And that was the action that was about being taken. Because, and let me take you to the grounds. Allegations were made against them, and I have the minute of meeting presided over by my deputy and other ESCO member with attendance. That will be tendered at the National Secretariat of our party, where allegations were made against these young men before the wife of the governor, and I'm going to call the wife of the governor as my witness, that the monies I normally pay to them has not been remitted to their colleagues at the chapter level and to the ward level. I called them for meeting with their secretaries. In that same meeting on the 23rd day of August, their secretaries told me that the money I remit to them, they have been shortchanging them. I got to discover that the office of the chief of staff give them another 3.6 million, of which I did not know. While the government does not remit our dues, the government remits dues to the local government. These are all the things I got to know on that day. The template I gave to them to be paying money to the chapters, they pay half and 8 some. I got report how 7 months, 1 year plus, some persons have not gotten salaries, gotten their stipends, as little as 20,000. And I felt so sad for young men who do not even have secretariat. Let them bring minutes of meetings that be holding. I intervene in all matters and go to the various wards to solve problems. Right. I bring people to Calabar to sit down with them, to pay their transport, including these people.
Mr. Eba.
And today you come on national television to lie against me.
Mr. Eba, let's take it to Mr. Ojogu now. Mr. Ojogu, he has said quite a lot. Would like you to respond to these allegations very quickly.
Hello, good morning once again. My expectation was that Barrister Alfonso Sogeba should defend the issues we have raised against him. Going to say whether I'm in the Forensic Commission or not is not the issue on ground. Is he the one who appointed me into the Forensic Commission? Is he not a member, a chairman of a governing board? So assuming without conceding that I'm in the Forensic Commission, does that give him the opportunity to sustain the state?
Mr. Njong, he says there's money in your account. He says, amongst other things, that there's money in your account and that you have been paid alongside other chairmen, chapter chairmen, up until October. But you are alleging that you have not received your stipends and all other monies. So we want you to respond to those specifically.
The money he pays to our chapter chairman account was when we have raised the issues. When we have said we don't longer want him. When we have gone to seal the state secretary against him. 196 ward chairmen, 18 chapter chairmen, 18 chapter secretaries went and locked up the party secretary against him. Is he supposed to pay the chapter organs of the party directly by himself? Without cost to us as chapter chairman? You go and pay the what? Is the national secretariat the one paying the local government? The party constitution is very clear. Every organ of the party have their own functions. Is he supposed to go and pay stipend to the ward chairman? Is he supposed to pay stipend to our own officers that are under us? So he doesn't. The issue is he should follow what we have alleged against him. He wrote a letter to the ministry, asking the ministry to the local government ministry, the money that is supposed to be remitted or is being remitted to the local government account of the party, that they should send it to the state account.
Well, Mr. Njong, he says that you have no, for lack of a better term, locus standi to even convene the meeting, talk more of carry out the action that you carried out. So what provision are you relying on for that?
Our percentage in the 2023 general elections, has he given us our own percentage up to date? So when you want to go and ask him, he will just be very arrogant on the matter.
All right.
The next thing is he said we are poor people, we are wretched people, we are illiterate people. You know, so those are the issues, and expecting, yes, we as chapter chairman, we don't have the constitutional right to impeach or remove him. But we have raised issues against him.
All right. Gentlemen, we have to anchor now. But I think a good place to end this conversation is the way Mr. Eba started. And you see, in that same book of Romans, Mr. Eba, 13, if you go to verse 10, it says that love worketh no ill to his neighbor. So I like that you say you are an evangelist and a politician, but perhaps that's a verse and a scripture to hold on to. Gentlemen, we have to anchor at this point. We know that this is an ongoing conversation, but we thank you indeed for your time and wish Cross River State APC the very best. We're totally out of time, gentlemen. Mr. Alfonso Zeba, the Ambassadorial APC chairman, Cross River State, who says that he will have a meeting with the national organ of the party to tender his case, as well as Mr. Kelvin and Njong. Thank you so much for your time, gentlemen. Wish you the very best. We'll take a moment now, and when we return, we're going to be speaking with a Nigerian who has set a Guinness World Record. Yes, it's sort of what we do now. But for what, and what's the journey ahead for him, we'll find out in a moment. Stay with us.
Welcome back. And so it's the Friday edition, of course, and it's time to wind down with something soft but very inspiring. Peter Adeleke joins us. He is a Nigerian-Canadian who has earned the Guinness World Record for the longest teaching lesson, 28 hours and 45 minutes in Calgary, Canada. Hi, Peter. It's good to see you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
You just came in from Canada, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. Fantastic. Welcome back home.
I'm still jet lagging.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So what was it like? 28 hours and 45 minutes. First of all, what inspired you to embark on this journey?
Yeah, thank you. Over the years, I've been, I like to change the narratives of leadership. And for me, it's all about raising leaders that will not just lead with their head, but will lead with their heart. Empathy. For me, it has always been about raising leaders that will not just serve during their time, right, but will shift the course of time. So that passion has been there in me, and breaking the Guinness World Record was a way to show and demonstrate my commitment to deepen leadership education and raising the bar in leadership development. And that's why I embarked on that.
And so I imagine that for every Guinness World Record holder, there's always a form of mental preparation ahead of, the challenge, because there's going to be, a long, expansive time spent trying to achieve it. So how did you prepare, and what was it that held you for 28 hours and 45 minutes?
So, thank you so much. For me, I had mental preparation. It's a mind thing, right? I'm talking about transformational leadership, and for me, it is not just what happens to you, it is what happens in you. You can't give what you don't have. So first of all, I had like mental preparation, preparing. By the way, I have a master's in leadership, so I've been doing this over the years too. And then I had physical preparation too. I went to the gym, to build resilience. I had to sustain that gymming, so building the capacity for me to be able to do that. Yeah, I had preparations, meetings with my crew, my team members, and I prepared to my lesson notes. I got the Guinness guidelines, and then I had to submit my lesson notes for pre-approval, going through all those things too. It was a great time. And, when you like something, you would put in your best and you would deliver results.
28 hours, 45 minutes.
Yes.
That's how long it took you to set the record in August. And I kind of like the approach. So you didn't cook jollof. You didn't dance. So there are different areas that you could actually break a world record, but you chose leadership. I don't know how many people hooked up to it live, how many people were there physically, but in terms of impact, looking at your bio, you studied in Lagos, you studied University of Lagos, I believe.
So I did my first degree microbiology at OAU.
OAU. Then your MBA, I think you started in Lagos,
yes, I was
University
doing
of
that
Lagos.
Before I traveled to Canada.
You traveled, fantastic.
Yes. Yeah.
So you see Nigerians start in Nigeria, go out there, do great stuff in the area of leadership, science, business, and all of that. So maybe you give us a little bite about leadership on the program today, because I'm excited about the world record, but I'm more excited about the impact that you hope to have. So what is that one thing that you think we can get right when it comes to leadership that I think we've not really scratched the surface yet?
That's in Nigeria.
Oh, absolutely. That's
a very, very interesting question, because one thing that is common in every sphere of life is leadership. If you look at the 7 spheres of influence, for instance, media, politics, governance, entertainment, the common thread there is leadership. But as sweet as that word may sound, right, not many people understand what it truly takes to be a great leader. And that's because leaders are not just born, they are made. So reflecting on the challenges of why the system in Nigeria is like this, I believe it's because Nigerian leaders have failed to, close the gap between capacity and potentials. That's very important. Once we can close that gap, there will be a great change.
Capacity?
And potentials.
And potentials. So when you say capacity, is it like the capacity of the people or the leader himself? When you say potential as well, is it the potential of the people, resources? How do we connect it in that sense?
Nigeria is blessed with great human capital, great human resource and natural resources. I know you know that, right? But the leadership issues has been like the main challenge in Nigeria. Talking about overcoming poverty, you should not just overcome poverty from a lens of charity, giving palliatives, to giving rights, to giving that, because you need to address that from a lens of justice. Justice is something that would, change the systemic issues. You're changing the narratives, right? When you address based on charity, you are alleviating poverty. But when you address based on justice, you are saying that people deserve, a great right to live with dignity. So capacity and potentials of leadership has been the issue. Where we are and where we ought to be, it just requires us to close that gap, and we'll get there.
Impressed by the record you've created. Where does this lead you?
That's a very great question. Still the same thing. For me, it's about raising the bar in leadership development. I was reading about Harvard Business Review, and they said that global companies spend as high as $60 billion annually for leadership development programs annually. And that tells us that delay in leadership development is a down payment for tomorrow's crisis. For me, it's about raising and empowering people, leaders that would not just serve during their time, but will shift the course of time. It's about creating a ripple effect, something that would, speak with time. So for me, it's about, continuous teaching and equipping people to become better part of themselves.
And so Jeffrey's question is quite significant, and the Guinness World Record may be a springboard for that destination that you envision. So has it, shone the light, positioned you, brought the opportunities that you require to express the ideal form of leadership that you envision?
Thank you so much. Yes, for me, what I'm doing right now, I'm representing Africa on the global stage. So it has given me that spotlight to keep carrying on the same message of transformation. Going back to your question, I believe that Nigeria needs an urgent economic reawakening. And that is very important. The cost of living is high. Yeah. There is low buying power. If you look at the capital per income, you see that there's a lot of changes from what we have from 3 years ago and now. So there's need for that, national transformation is what we need at the moment in Nigeria.
So you're not joining politics in Nigeria?
For me, well, I will do what God will have me do.
Oh, okay, you're getting there. You're getting to become a politician. But that's great. Yeah.
All right. We must anchor at this point. We are spoiled for choice, and I would love to ask, if you're going to be serving in the economic space or, political space. But you have our best wishes as you continue your expression in the leadership space. Peter Adeleke is the Guinness World Record holder for the longest teaching lesson held for 28 hours and 48 minutes. Thank you for your time on the program.
Thank you so much.
And this is where we drop the anchor on the program. What a week it's been, and we hope you have yourselves a lovely weekend. Thank you so much for watching. I am Bukola Koka.
And I'm Jeffrey Ozana. Have yourself a very beautiful weekend and the week ahead. Bye-bye.
I'm Kyle Okikilu. Sunrise Daily is next. Goodbye.